We're going to be, we might even hit the 70s by, I don't know, they're saying maybe Monday, but sunshine after we're going to have a couple of days of cooler rain, but we're in the 50s and then 60s and maybe 70. Look at that long range, Manaski.
We can get through tomorrow. I think we're good. Mid-50s, some sunshine Wednesday, and then sunny 57, sunny 63, sunny 66.
It all changes.
I got to stop hitting that mic, and then sunny and 70 on Sunday.
We're looking at a change in the forecast right now, so that's a good thing. All right, what an awful weekend it was, and dealing with this story of Will Smith, a senseless, and I don't know how it can be described any other way, but senseless shooting. It seems to be random. It seems like it was, despite the coincidences that are out there that are adding the conspiracy theories, it does seem that this was just a random road rage situation. And, sadly, our very own Will Smith becomes the victim at age 34. Ron Moshier has followed the career of Will Smith since he was a kid. Everybody knew this kid was special, but Ron knew it and wrote about it. And Ron had a special relationship with Will Smith. He is on the line right now. Ron, good morning. And we're sorry for your loss because it's not often that we get emotionally connected to people with relationships, but that really kind of happened for you with Will Smith.
Yes, it did, Bill. I have to tell you that, as a journalist, you don't normally get close to athletes like Will, but it's not ethical, and I have to admit I did get close to Will, but it was really after the fact, after he had done everything that he accomplished, as a football player. And I know you introduced me as being a close friend. I'm not sure how close I was, only because I only spoke with him, met with him maybe once or twice a year the last several years, you know.
Yeah.
But it was because of the circumstances why I was talking to him. It was Will Smith who years ago, after stardom, called me up out of the blue and said, "Hey, Ron, you know that All Mohawk Valley football team that the OD puts together every year, and ultimately I put together every year?" He said, "Why don't we honor them in some way?" And I was a little taken aback. It was like a pleasant surprise. Will Smith, Super Bowl champion, wants to come back, and really, Bill, he really had no family ties left here.
Right.
I mean, his ties were with Proctor and with his coaches here, and as it turned out with me and the Observer-Dispatch, he came back because he wanted to. He said, "I want to recognize these players." And obviously we all know that Proctor and RFA are the only large schools here. He came back to recognize a lot of these players were Class C and Class D, small school, sometimes rural kids who came back to meet a larger-than-life figure like Will Smith, a Super Bowl champion. And yesterday, I have to tell you, Bill, that it was touching when, obviously, I rushed into work, unfortunately, on a very sad Sunday.
Yeah.
But the emails I got from coaches and fathers of players who got to meet Will Smith and never would have been able to do that if Will himself hadn't set this up years ago.
Wow.
I've been doing this for 30, 40 years, and let's face it, I never covered a Will Smith when it came to those accomplishments, those kind of accomplishments, that level of stardom. I mean, from high school to an NCAA championship season that was 14-0 at Ohio State. I went to New York City in the hotel room with him when he got drafted in the first round by the Saints, to the Pro Bowl, to Super Bowl champion. I know we've had, several local athletes make it big at the pro level in different sports.
Yeah.
But I can't come up with anybody who put together a resume like Will Smith, and not even close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I think he was the most accomplished professional athlete ever to come out of this area. I think the resume proves it. But what I tried to convey in my my heartfelt column today, what I tried to convey was that what we should also remember about Will Smith, and this is not a knock on other pro athletes that have come out of this area, but Will Smith's the only one that contacted me or the Observer-Dispatch or any local media here and said, "Hey, can I come back and give up my time and money and myself to promote local athletics around here?" And he did it. He was about to do it here Thursday night.
Yeah,
and
again,
for the 8th year. And I mean, he held camps and clinics for little kids up at Proctor, and you know, he didn't have to do that. I know all the shirts that he buys for these All-Stars and the plaques have already been purchased and everything. I know we've got to get together, and probably right now some of the dinner coordinators are deciding whether we should postpone Thursday's banquet at Danielle's for these. I think there's 30 athletes and a coach of the year we'll be honoring. And I think Jerry Fiorini, the former Proctor head football coach, said it best yesterday. He goes, "Well, we're trying to decide whether to have it or not." And he said, I think Will would still want to have it, but maybe not Thursday night, only because we don't want it to become a Will Smith eulogy, because Will Smith wouldn't want that. He wanted it to be about these kids. That's why he set it up. So I really think I'm sure we're going to have it eventually. My guess is we'll postpone it for a month or so, and then try to make it the biggest and best ever. And not a eulogy, maybe let's call it a tribute to Will Smith. He's the one that started this, and hopefully we can keep it going in his name and his memory. Because I'll tell you, I've been doing this for so long, and I've never covered an athlete of a Will Smith caliber. And I've never covered an athlete who wanted to come back and do something for his community when really he had no family ties here. You know, his family was Proctor. His family was high school football in this area. His family was in Utica. You know, Uticans in this area. And we should all appreciate it, because that doesn't happen every day from a guy who goes to the NFL and makes millions, you know. And
you think about all of what he had, all of what, you know, the fame and the money and all the things that he had, there was no reason to come back here except he appreciated what happened here. The only thing I can imagine is that he appreciated what was done for him here, and he simply wanted to give back truly from the heart. I mean, that means a lot.
Yeah, and you know, I think it was, to be honest, I think it was tough for Will, because if you ever met him, he was a giant of a man, but very soft-spoken. He was not comfortable with standing up there and talking to an audience, and he did it because he wanted to. He wanted to show up. He didn't want it to be just in his name. Will Smith wanted to be there to show that he cared. And you know, we year after year assembled different speakers. I mean, Doug Marone came one year. You know, we've had local coaches like Blaise Fagiano come. I know Dave Murray was scheduled to come from Hamilton College, Kurt Fitzpatrick from Morrisville. It was really like a football family affair, and Will was at the head of it. And, you know, Paul Folletti, his former coach, Jerry Fiorini, his former coach, Guy Pulio, they've all been behind this and rallied behind Will. And I feel for them today, because they're the ones that were even so much closer to Will than I. You know, I always joke with Will, Bill, I always joke with Will that, geez, I've covered you for so long. Can I have the rights to your book, you know, when it comes time to write in your book? And there's no way I would want to write a book to end it the way it did.
Oh, my God, I know. Hey, and Ron, you've written for many years, and sometimes we're writing about things that are sometimes personal, but, you know, most times we're involved in anything that's not personal. How hard was this to write yesterday?
One of the hardest things I've ever done, Bill. Just because I got to meet Will. One of the first times I met Will in high school, I actually got to meet his grandmother, who was a great, great woman, Nancy Smith. She was in her 70s then, but she had Will right under her thumb, and I'll never forget it. She was the great woman behind Will Smith, I think, and Will admitted it to me. He didn't grow up in a very easy neighborhood to grow up in. His mother died when he was very young. I don't think his dad was around much. And Nancy Smith raised him. He was actually born in Queens and came up. Yeah. They moved up here after his mom died. And Nancy was such a great woman. She kept him on the straight and narrow. And I remember she would every now and then talk to the coaches at Proctor and say, how's his ego and everything? He's getting a big head. And she'd tell the coaches, hey, if you have to knock him down a peg or two, go ahead. And when he's down on the ground, step on him and say, that's from Grandma. I mean, that's the kind of woman she was. And I think that's what helped make Will Smith the kind of man he was. And again, I have not been in touch with Will very often, once or twice a year, like I said, ever since he's been in New Orleans. So I don't even know if you could call me close to him, but I was close to what he meant to this area, and I was close to what he wanted to do for this area, and that's why I respected him. I have no idea about the details down there. I hate watching the news.
Yeah.
All I know is the Will Smith that I knew here, and he was good for this area, and I hope we can remember that forever.
Ron, we really, I know it's tough, and I can't imagine, but I appreciate you taking the time to share your story about Will. It really means a lot, so thanks so much.
You're welcome, Bill. Have a good day.
All right, Ron Moshier. We will break. It's 8:41 at WIBX.